Tonight, we will be discussing how to maximize your retirement, covering 401ks, IRAs, and Roth conversions. We're honored to be joined by Jim Manuel. He's a financial advisor and has over 35 years of experience in the area of estate tax reduction, financial planning, and asset maximization techniques. Mr. Manuel teaches retirement planning workshops for Fortune 500 companies and city, county, and state agencies. He is a seminar lecturing speaker to accounting firms, tax law study groups, and investment associations throughout the nation. Also joining us tonight is Joseph Clark of Brokers Choice of America. He has been providing assistance to retired, pre-retired clients, and also independent advisors throughout the country for 23 years. He is an experienced teacher, published author, and financial educator. He has extensive knowledge in the areas of preservation and distribution of wealth, retirement planning strategies, reduction of financial risk, lowering of taxes, and protecting assets.
Man, I tell you what, my son Zach has got to be one of the best kids out there that can put on these intros. What do you think, Joe? Was that good?
That was excellent.
Stellar, guys.
I'm
Excellent.
telling you, we got Heather in the background tonight. If we need her, she'll jump on here with us, and got our team out there, of course. Welcome everybody to the show. We're going to jump right in because I know that Joe and Jim talk a lot longer than most of my guests, so I wanted to give them as much time as I can for this topic. This is going to be a very interesting topic. We will also be playing the replay, so don't forget, if you're looking at this tonight live, make sure you tell us #live. If you're looking at it on the replay, #replay. And again, if you like what you see on there, let us know that as well. By telling us, hashtag whatever it is they say, Joe. I forget what they say, but anyway, value, #value if you like what you see tonight. So, Joe, I'm gonna shut up and let you guys go because we got a lot to do. I'll jump in and out of here. If you got questions, make sure you put them on there. So we are gonna have we'll be grabbing some of those as well. Drew's on tonight. That's one of our production guys. He's out there watching as well. So, Joe, I'm gonna let you start us off. We already did the introductions. Have at it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate everyone taking the time to being on the call today, and of course, you having us on the show, and my partner here, Jim Manuel, and him and I have been together working and doing these type of educational programs, and not only that we do this for advisors, Bill, that we also do this, of course, with our clients. And I say in recent days. Of course, we're dealing with so much of the baby boomer market right now with rollovers and 401ks and IRAs. We thought today would be the theme of our show is to Roth or to not to Roth. And, we'll probably have to have a series of these, Bill, because there's so much to talk about. And I like I mentioned to you earlier, you're going to have to keep us on track here. Jim and I, we get really excited and we're very passionate about what we do and how we're doing it these days. Right now, it's a complete gold mine when it comes to working with folks, especially the folks of the higher valued IRA accounts or 401ks. Our typical clients that we're working with, far as age category, are right on the cuff of 59 or 60. And some folks are planning to try to retire early if they have things in the right position. But what we're also identifying that, that some folks do have a good cash flow coming in. And with that being said, they have a lot of excess in their qualified monies, such as 401ks and IRAs. And they're not planning to take any distribution off of them, because when it comes to retirement savings, there's three phases of what we call the accumulation phase of retirement, and then also what we call the preservation. And now we're rolling into the era, folks, in the area of distribution planning. And that just means that, we're getting to the point where we're going to, our clients these days, now that they have already accumulated their wealth, now they're planning to how to create an income of that wealth. But there are a good fair share of clients that have these sizable accounts and they don't really want to take distribution off of them. If a matter of fact, they'd like to create what we call a tax-free account. And that's where we're instrumental in our planning process. I'm more of a numbers guy when it comes to putting this together and quantifying the approach. And then, of course, we utilize a strategy right now. It's called the Roth conversion. Everybody's heard of that. But we came up with an approach called the vault account. And the vault account is so unique. And that's where we're winning over our clients that have sizable accounts. And that's what makes us unique in the whole area of financial advisors, because most advisors, folks, they're either trying to get their clients to do investments, or they're just trying to sell them annuities to keep the money safe. And there's nothing wrong with that being said. Of course, they need to do that. But what we're finding is that they need a tax strategy for their future, because in the future, if they're in their early 60s or getting into up near the 70s, they're going to be forced to take their R&D distributions. And thank gosh that the government had allowed to defer that out to a later age. And of course, Mr. Manuel here, he's going to get into giving a little bit of a history lesson on that. But not only that, Mr. Manuel does teach classes in various different universities in the area of economics and tax planning. And he's got some great ideas and concepts come together, and I'm the person that helps put them together when it comes to the numbers. But Jim, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you and let you have it.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Hello, everybody. This is Jim Manuel, and I'm an in-the-field producer, just like probably most or all of you are. And I get up every morning, and just like you, I put my pants on, and I get dressed, and I go to work. And when I go to work, I take a double-barrel shotgun. And one barrel is loaded with knowledge, and the other is loaded with results. And my job every day is to go out and find and take clients from other banks, credit unions, Edward Jones, and anybody else that gets in my swath. And I do a pretty good job on that. And what we have here is one of my real best arrow in the quiver. And this is the Roth conversion. And the Roth conversion is a really hot topic today, especially with people. This is not articulated for somebody who's got 200,000 in his IRA and he makes, he's retiring and got a small pension or some Social Security. This is for people that typically have at least 500,000 in their IRA, although we have done them smaller, but typically 500 to $1 million. They're $1 million IRA account. And it can be larger than that. And sometimes on a good day, it is. But what we do is we articulate a methodology that will let them take their forever taxed IRA or 401k and change it to a never taxed account. And this was made possible in 2010. And in 2010, you could not do a Roth conversion if you made more than 100,000 a year. And they changed that and allowed people to bring it all in. And it was very easy to do. And it's become more difficult. But Congress found out that that was a great revenue source. And Congress is always looking for ways to fund more bills and spend more money. That's why we have a $34.5 trillion deficit in our economy. And just the money and the bonds that we have to sell to pay the interest on that is probably close to $1 trillion a year. So they want this revenue. And so now we can take those IRA, 401ks, 403bs, etc., and forever make them tax-free. But even more possible than that is Joe and I have a strategy now using our vault accounts to let them do that with almost no money out of pocket or just very minimal amount out of pocket. And there are only really two reasons why you or I, if we had a nice sized IRA that's taxable, why wouldn't we want to make it tax-free? Well, the first reason is we don't have enough money to pay the taxes to do it, or we don't want to have the money to pay the taxes. And our strategy lets you do that in a very cost-efficient fashion to make it never taxed. And it's just not the 59 or 60 years old. I've got and done this for older clients who are in their 70s. Now, they do that for a different reason. They do that as part of their estate planning protocol, that they want to leave their kids and grandkids tax-free money. And everybody likes tax-free money. If they didn't like that, it'd be hard to do an IUL policy. And so this is written under the same protocol as the insurance on that, the Roth IRA is. And so that started 210. The money started flowing in, and it was just so much that Congress couldn't believe that, and Congress loved that very much. And so Congress is addicted to these Roth conversions because they need money now. They want people paying these fees now. And they have kind of a short-term view in the government because they're always behind. That's why we've got these huge deficits. And so not converting your IRA account or your 401k account to a Roth is not prudent money management. You can do it at little or no cost if you so desire. A lot of people don't know how to do that. And most of the guys at the big wirehouses and the Merrill Lynch's and the Edward Jones and those places won't give them any guidance on how to do this. But people do want it. And I found a lot of really good RIAs out there. They don't know how to do it either. So if you learn this concept, the world is your oyster bed, so to speak. And so we can do that, and it's past mustard, and it's not the simplest thing in the world, but I'm going to read something that I prepared for a group called SHRM. And SHRM is something, it's an acronym for the Society of Human Resource Managers. SHRM must certify their human resource people, just like we have to do it for insurance or stock brokerage or real estate, anything. We have to have continuing ed classes, and SHRM supplies the CE credits for about 60% of the HR people of S&P 500 companies. And so I got this approved, and I'm going to read this one. And the first class that I got approved was Reduce Your Tax Burden in Retirement, Learn to Use the Roth Conversion. Converting traditional IRA or 401k to a Roth is a strategy allowing you to save thousands of dollars over the long term. One new economic strategy allows you to achieve this with no or little money out of pocket. You can use a vault account to convert your IRA for free or almost free. And that's what people like to hear about. And that's what we're talking to you about today. It's the hottest thing on the market right now. There's a plethora of people out there who have 500 to $1 million to $2 million in their qualified accounts. And I do know this when I talk to my clients every day. The 4 big dangers for retired individuals, either facing or in retirement, is number 1, taxes. Number 2 is inflation. Number 3 is a sequence of returns risk. And number 4 is longevity. So what we can definitely do something about is to solve that tax risk that they're facing today. And so I really favor this in my quest to obtain new, high qualified, what I term really good clients that we'll have a long-term relationship with. And then they're not going to have all their money just in their qualified accounts. They've got a whole lot of non-qualified money that we're able to help them in good knowledge to make a difference. And so Joe's going to go over a little PowerPoint that we started here, and he developed. And Joe, I'm going to turn that over to you now.
Well, sure. Thanks, Jim. What we see here is that when we're breaking this down, I mean, obviously it's not the easiest way of just breaking down a bunch of numbers with our clients, but objectively, we're looking at most folks are sitting in what we call the taxable bucket or the tax deferred bucket. So if they've been contributing to their 401ks, or maybe they have some IRAs, however they were structured when they were working, they're sitting in that category. But most folks definitely do not have any form of tax-free advantage, and completely tax-free. They're tax deferred, but when they take distribution, as I mentioned earlier about accumulation, preservation, and then when we get into the retirement years is the distribution, they're not set up properly to get that tax-free income. Now, back a while back, we were implementing tax-free distribution strategies for income. And what we would normally do is we would harvest off a percentage of the IRA account or 401k. We wouldn't take the whole enchilada, but we would utilize a portion of that retirement accumulation and fund what we call an IUL policy. That's an index universal life, and it's a great strategy. But what I discovered in just less than a year ago, we had one sizable case, and we put a ton of time into this case, and then we got to the point where the underwriting was complete. And then once the underwriting was complete, we found out that this gentleman wasn't all that healthy. And it was just a bit of a shocker. But, we were like, well, at this juncture, we definitely need to move fast and have a plan B approach. So what the plan B approach was to utilize the Roth conversion. But what really was the sizzle in the sail, Jim, and I'm sure you agree with this, was that it was the not pay out of pocket issue. He didn't want to pay. He didn't want to pay out of pocket. And so what we discovered in our strategy, because we were still exploring the strategy, and within that we discovered that he wouldn't have to pay out of pocket, because the leveraging within the vault account day one allows him to have enough money in the pot to be able to pay for the taxes. So he doesn't have to crack open another nest egg anywhere else to help pay for the tax. And so when we presented this to him, and we had to come back and present the issue that he was rated, and then he wasn't too happy about that because the numbers, they didn't match up to what we originally showed him. And so we were walking the line that we were going to probably lose the case. So we figured it out before we even got to that point. And you know what he said? He said, guys, why didn't you show me this the first time? And we a bit chuckled, but we said, well, originally that IUL was a better ticket for you, because of the leveraging and the tax-free income and the death benefit on it. But sometimes you can't have it all. But we still can provide tax-free, overall tax-free strategy for you. And he was, hey, I'm all in. Sign me up. Because that's
I can interject, Joe. And not only was he all in, his wife has a $1 million IRA that he wants us to work on there in a couple of months. And he's got 2 friends that have over millions in their IRAs. And he said he's going to bring them all in for us. And so you're really serving the client's needs when you do this. And when you save them that money, I don't care who their RIA is, this will trump whatever they do. Saving taxes trumps the other guy easily.
Well, Jim, the other thing we talked about earlier before you came on the show, the agents that are trying to scale, right? They want to get up to the higher client market, right? Now this one client is putting you into 4 or 5 more clients. You're scaling
Absolutely.
right off of one guy, yes?
And he likes us so much that he sent me a thing, said, Jim, I love you, and not in a weird fashion. He really likes what I've done for him. And so we started talking. He was going to go get a new BMW. I said, hey, I like BMWs. I got an M6 convertible. He said, that's what I have. So he sends me the picture of his M6, and I send him the picture of my M6. And he's in West Virginia, wasn't it, Joe?
Yep. Yes, sir.
West Virginia. Look at the power this has to get that guy to give me his wife's million, his million, and 2 of his best friends' million. He's got
and they're going to have friends too, Jim. It's just going to keep catapulting if you do it right.
Absolutely. That is something very astute. And I prescribe to that immensely. And not only that, let's look at the small things. Let's look at when we make that change from forever taxed to never taxed, then they do not have to face maybe Social Security tax. They can get that down and work on that angle to save 85% of their Social Security from being taxed. And then they can stop the problem of high income changing your IRMA tax, with Medicare Part B. And I had to go through an audit with the Social Security Board because I'd had a real good year and they bumped my IRMA up and raised it thousands of dollars. And I was able to beat it because I understand I went to law school and I know what I'm doing and I beat them. But these people, when they make a lot of money and they start taking these big distributions from these regular IRAs, they're going to pay IRMA tax. They're going to pay 85 on the Social Security. They're going to get taxed to death, and we can be their salvation. And I don't know of any other agents that do this that will be able to beat us in our concept and how we do it, because we know what we're doing and we've done it. Well, not a long time, a little over a year, but we're stacking them up.
Well, and one of the things, Jim, about having you guys here is if an agent runs into this and they don't know how to do it, it's best to kind of push it off to somebody like you guys, and they can still get a commission.
Oh, absolutely. We do a lot of our business is exactly done that way.
Yeah.
Well, we do, folks. We do plenty of what we call piggyback planning. You know, we majority of everything we're doing right now is online. And we have a system for that gets us in front of folks that objectively have at least 500,000 in their 401k IRA. But what's the norm? You know, when we're running into these type of prospects, is that the majority of all their qualified money is is within investments. As you can see, you have stocks, mutual funds, savings accounts. You know, that's all taxable. That may be the non-qualified, but along with that, they have the 401k IRA, and all that money it's wrapped up in investments.
And a lot of times, Joe, the investor, the investment advisor doesn't want them to Roth these because he's getting paid a percentage the longer that account stays up high. Yes,
especially the wirehouse broker.
Absolutely, and that's a big part of why they don't do this, Bill, because you know they want to control that money. And as I was mentioning earlier, you know, you have various different types of advisors. You have the accumulation advisor, which is the wirehouse type of advisors, and they only sell their own type of investment strategies. They never go outside of what really needs to be done for the client, and that's in the area of the tax strategies and distribution planning, and try to lower down what is to come. And what is to come is that they get down the road in the later years, in the 70s, you know, and they have to take the RMD distribution. All that money is going to be pouring out, either if the market's up or if it's down. Either way you look at it, it's coming out. And so we're trying to prevent that before, you know, making it to where those accounts are going to be tax-free entirely. But the problem with it before, you know, and we would implement a Roth conversion at times, but you know, people didn't always want to do it. They'd be a little bit more open to do the converting into the IUL policies, and that would work fine. But we still had the issue of declines in underwriting or write-ups. But with this, there is no limitation right now. I mean, like I said, it's a gold mine right now. And
let me stop you real quick. Let me ask you a question. Sure. Maybe Jim can answer this. Now, when I do IUL, sometimes, you know, one of the things that, you know, when I used to do them, and, you know, now I'm retired and I just coach and train, but one of the things we used to do, if somebody wasn't eligible, we could use a different conduit. Now, can you do that with the IRA, with the Roth? Or you can't.
No, you can't, because the IRA is definitive for the individual whose name it is.
You wouldn't be allowed to do that. Okay.
Right.
I figured as much, but I sometimes you can do that on other stuff, but you can't do that on this. Okay. Now, if the person died, the beneficiary could do something. Yes.
No, the beneficiary, if he dies, they get it tax-free, just like an IUL. Right. You can hold it for 10 years, and it can then go to the grandkids.
Because it keeps going up, and then they're gaining that extra earning.
And it all grows tax-free, and it's a wonderful thing. I'm just figuring how Congress, you know, what we've got is a big thing coming up in 1 year and 10 months, and that's the sunset of the Trump Tax and Job Act. Okay. And right now, taxes are on a fire sale. They're the cheapest we've had them in the last 57 years. And that's why I'm such a evangelist in telling people about this. They can do it so much more cost effectively, because when that tax bill expires, taxes are going to go back to what they were before 2017, and they were dramatically higher. And right now we can take advantage of this for the next 1 year and 2 months and get it started. And you don't have to use all of the account. They may decide they want to leave some taxable and some tax-free, but they have the ability to call the shots on that. They don't have to use the government plan. They can use their plan. And it's always in your best interest to let you be the steward of your own money.
Now, do you guys have some slides that are going to show us some numbers here?
Yes, and that's what I was going to get into here. So Jim had mentioned that if anything, in the process of doing this, and we were talking about life insurance, and as we know, day one, when you do own a life insurance policy and it's in force, you have complete leverage, and with this, you have complete leverage, even if you didn't do the actual conversion itself, with the vault account, you have at least right out of the gate, you have 18% enhancement to your account if it's in the form of an IRA. And typically when we structure these, it's structured into two buckets. One is an IRA, okay? And then secondly is your Roth account. And that Roth account at point of sale is basically an empty bucket. There's nothing in it until you decide to start converting. You have the complete flexibility to convert at any time. You can take a portion every year. Typically, we do this over a course of 5 years because we're trying to scale it up to where it's getting the 5-year, deferment and contribution, so that after 5 years, that once it's fully filled up in that bucket, then it's got the Roth treatment, meaning that it's tax-free when you take the money out. It's tax-free if you were to die. And it's tax-free forever, like Jim had mentioned.
If I could interject, for the annuity producers out there, it's similar, not the same, but very similar to conceptualize doing a laddered annuity program. But it's not. It's laddering their IRAs to bypass the taxes. And if you can look at this, I wish the print were larger, but I'll show you right now. Here's 2017. That's the Trump Tax and Job Act that I shared with you. Look at that. The taxes at $470,000 are 39.6%. And let's come over here to 2023. It's not 39.6, it's 37%, all the way up to 693,000. We're still in this 2023 and 1 year and 10 months going forward. And let's look up at a bit. Look at 25% under the Trump Tax and Job Act. Before he cut that down, it was 25% would go to 153,000. Now it won't be 25% under this year's tax. It will be 22%, and we can go all the way to 190,750. So taxes are on a fire sale right now, and they will be for 1 year and 10 months from now. We should be like Paul Revere and say the British are coming. We should say taxes are coming. If you
we got a question on that. Somebody said, "What is the percentage of the IRA or money rolled? What will it cost the client?" What they're looking for a number there.
Yeah. Okay. The best we can do now is a very estimate within very small amount. And I mean, very small amount or totally tax-free. Most that we do are tax-free, but their age and their amount and their tax bracket enter into it. So we can't definitively say, but it's basically, I say it's basically tax-free or very minimal costs. And they're made aware of all that before we proceed.
Well, and Jimmy, I'll interject to that to help add to the answer to that question. Most of the time that when folks come to us, their tax bracket is anywhere from a 22 to 24. We're trying to keep this, not going past a 24% tax bracket if we can.
Yeah.
That's the typical norm. But either way, folks, we still have the ability with the Vault account to be able to offset that out-of-pocket expense that they'd be, forced to pay. Well, they have to pay it, in the process. And that's always been the issue of holding us up. Before we discovered the Vault account, we used to do this with IUL, and we had the ability to take a loan out on the IUL and then pay the tax. And at times it just had to make it to where everything had to go perfect. And sometimes, in the market and the indexing, it doesn't always go perfect, enough to where you're averaging out those averages. But the beauty of this is that with the Vault account, with the leveraged approach of a minimum of 18% increase, it has the ability to leverage you out, and you're made whole again. And that's not even including of the internal growth that you get with the 18% increase with the indexing, because the indexing, we have a chart here. The next chart I'm going to show here.
Joe, can you hold this one for 1 second? If
Yes,
I
sir.
could, and this is for the audience and all that are watching. Let's look at 2017, and this year we're just getting ready to file our taxes on it. Now, here's one we did, and it worked out really great for the family. They took $1 million and converted it to the Roth IRA, and they take out $75,000 a year out of that Roth, and it's no tax on it. Now, they still had another $1 million IRA, and they left it as it was. Oh no, it's a 401k. The 401k was worth $1 million, and they take out $75,000 for that one. That's fully taxable. So 75 and 75 gives them $150,000 in income. Let's go up and look at right here. They had income of $75,000, and we go here from 22 to 89,000. They're in the 12% bracket. So for that 150,000 income, they're now in a 12% tax bracket. That's pretty darn good. Not many people complain about being able to turn their accounts into something like that.
Absolutely.
Well, let me jump on here real quick, Joe, because you keep saying the Vault account. Let me make sure I'm understanding, because maybe somebody else might have a question too. Basically, it allows you to earmark funds in your account for different purposes to work on multiple goals or one or two goals. Yes.
Correct.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to clarify that.
There's several variations of the Vault account. Like when I do, say, an oil deal, and I just finished doing them for high net worth people, and you get a lot of wealthy people. Well, we put up, just use 100,000 as an example. He puts up 100,000. He gets 90,000 write-off above line. Now, your best deductions are above line, the lines on top of adjusted gross income on your tax forms. But most people, they're kind of newspaper boys when it comes to taxes and stuff. Most of these agents and most of these guys at the wirehouses, they don't understand this. I study this stuff because I do continuing ed classes for the estate planning section of the California State Bar. So they wouldn't let me do that if I couldn't tell them. And the estate planning attorneys that I teach these things, they don't know about this stuff. But there's a lot of agents in the field that know about this stuff, and we're training them. So the Vault account could be an oil program where they get 90% write-off the first year. They get a subordinated 12% return for 5 years. Then they sell the product upline to a bigger fish and get all their money back. It could be that. It could be a structured note where they might get 13% interest on structured notes with a downside buffer or 10, 20, or 30% buffer. The market would have to drop that much. So we've got a plethora of things that maybe the average agent is not up to speed on, but we can bring you up to speed. Or if you decide to let us run the deal, we'll share the commissions.
Well, and I think the smart move here, and I didn't mean to jump on you, Joe, would be to let you guys, and you guys could walk them through it so they can learn it. That's the best way, is to get.
That's the way you really learn it. That's the way we had to learn it.
Yeah. So I think you make a mistake sometimes if you don't, or you're not willing to share the wealth to get the education.
There's never money better spent than to learn things.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh, well, sure. So here's just a basic scenario. What we have here, and this was the case that we did. I was mentioning earlier with the gentleman in Virginia. He had about 500,000, but
West Virginia.
West Virginia. And just with an average of 5% earnings, and that's like super, super conservative. The approach that we're using in our indexes, just so you folks will understand, and what's very complicated about indexing is to choose the right index. No one really knows what index to choose. Some people may choose S&P 500, some may choose NASDAQ, some may choose Russell 2000, some may choose SG Global. Who really knows for sure? I mean, when you run annuity illustrations, and you look at back testing and all that, and then you look at some of these annuity policies, especially on index annuities. Not to be speaking negative about them, but there's times where the market could be good for 1 year, and then the return on their annuity is terrible, or they don't even earn anything. So you don't want to be left with an empty bag, especially if you sell annuities. And that's where we come in play to help you understand that with the Vault account, we do what's called the pre-selected indexing. And what that does is that out of 13 different indexes, it weighs the highest earner, the winners out of the lineup, okay? And then takes the lower, not to say they're losers, but the lower earners.
Well, we throw those out of the basket at the end of a year.
Well, they're still in the basket, but there's a lesser percentage that's going into those areas or those indexes. And so the whole idea of what you're trying to accomplish when you're indexing is to maintain your momentum either on a 1 year or 2 year basis. So this basically pre-selects it, and then it also implements an AI model that can basically understand how the market is basically breathing and know how to make the adjustments every day, every week, every month, and maintaining your momentum. And so when I show this, it being at 5%, I mean, that's like a bare bones
If you
minimum.
look at the top right-hand corner, you'll see that illustrated at 5%.
Correct.
If somebody wants these slides, can we get them to them? If they do hashtag Roth, can we help them get some of this information?
Absolutely. Not only that, Bill, I mean, if they wanted us to interface with their client, we definitely would.
Okay.
That's big part of what we do, and if that's a need for us to do, then we definitely
let me do this real quick
Yes.
before we go back at it. We always tell people that they have to leave. We're past our half hour, which we always try to stick around that number. But we're going to go extra tonight because you guys have a lot to talk about. Should be done around 7, hopefully. But like I said, and you guys are going to come back. You'll be more than happy to come back for part 2. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, we have a whole series that goes with distribution planning with IRAs and 401ks.
Well, and I tell you what would be perfect for this, because we have 2 different sets of members with us. We have non-paying members, and then we have paid members. We could put this on the paid site for the clients that want to excel and want to get bigger and are looking to do that. And so we could do a couple different things. So we would also put you on the paid site where our clients are at, where you can really help people that want to scale. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And then you could also mention that if they wanted us to piggyback with them, to help them either with the existing clients that they want to interface with this concept, we definitely would be open to do that for them.
Well, and I know we talked earlier today, Joe, and I know you love what we're doing with the Babe Ruth Bucket system. And you asked me, you said, for $97, they get a whole lot. Next week, they got Tom Hegna. We've had, Phil Graham on here, you guys. And so we have a real good program going. And before people leave, I want them to know that we appreciate you guys. And I know that we've been together for a long time, Joe, but I know you love what we're doing for agents.
Absolutely. I mean, agents, they need the support, and especially in this day and age, it's a lack of support, especially in the area of working with folks online. We have systems in place that they help folks or advisors or insurance agents to get in front of clients that are quality prospects, that they have this value of type of benchmark IRA of $500,000 to $1 million accounts.
Well, here's the problem with scaling, and because you've been in the business, there's a lot of different agents on here that do different kind of programs. And when they go to their upline and say, I want to scale, I want bigger clients, they don't want them to scale. They want them to stay in the market that they're at, because that's where they make their
Sure.
meat and potatoes. So we
Yeah.
offer a different opportunity, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm open to using this for even smaller clients. I mean, it's an age factor. It isn't always just that, the value, the size of the account. And it may be that they're at, early 60s. They have other accounts, and here they have, $100,000 that they want to convert, and they want to use the Volt account. Absolutely, they can still use this approach.
Can I
Jim,
interject?
we've talked.
Can I interject, Joe? I'm going to use it
Real quick. I want you to add to this, Jim, because you
Okay.
said earlier when we were off the camera, you said, I asked you, you know whether or not, and you'll be able to tell the clients, like Joe's saying, if maybe it's not a good idea. Yes.
The only thing that's going to go out of the parameters that I say, and overall, but I did a little workshop, and I only had 12 people there. It cost me $700. I got a lady that was 5.3 million, had all her money at Wells Fargo, and all she did was dividend paying stocks. And so I'm getting a $400,000 annuity out of it. And I'm going to break a lot of that other money out that I'll now be their manager. But at the same table was an older couple. And so I went to see them, and the guy had a 500,000 in his IRA. And I went up to see him, and he said, we like that. I want to change this IRA. I don't want to pay taxes out of it. I don't want to have to take it. So I looked at an 85-year-old, go to your tax codes, and roughly he's going to take on, I think it was around 30,000, 31,000 a year. And that makes him pay a lot of taxes. And he didn't want to take it out. And so I'm going to be able to, and I won't go into it now because this wasn't what we designed, but what you can do for these people, I'm going to make him get an IRA at age 85 and keep his income higher than it was, but he doesn't have to take it out when he doesn't want to, and he'll leave it to his wife 100% tax free. So there's a lot of people that won't fit the mold. Our mold's pretty big mold. We know what the sweet spot is, but all those other things, we don't waste those clients either.
Definitely. And I'll add to this, and we'll probably need to end. We have a whole arsenal of strategies. It's just a matter of what fits the right occasion, and we're seeing that the Volt account fits the occasion. And we have other approaches that fit, usually for our older clients. If we feel like a Roth conversion is not going to work, then we utilize a strategy that's a guaranteed death benefit, guaranteed. Okay. And that basically just means that when you make a deposit on your retirement savings, and that money is earmarked for your beneficiaries. And then now if you have longevity in your family and you're going to live a while, the financial institutions that we work with, and there's a small number of them that do this, that they can guarantee that you could earn 7%. And that's regardless of any indexes. It's guaranteed every year, 7% that they will earn that each year. So if they make it to past the 90s and they're in their, let's say in their mid 70s, and they start something like that, they can do it. And there's other accounts that we utilize that are capable of that. So I just wanted to throw that out as a teaser for maybe our next show that we do, Bill.
Well, and like I said, we got a couple of good questions. We answered those. I wanted, Heather, if you get a chance, a couple of people are asking how do they join the group, how they join the paid site. Make sure you put that on the ticker for me. But Joe, you guys, before we finish up here, I want you to kind of give them a couple nuggets here on what maybe they're looking for. What are some questions they could prompt their people, to ask questions, that would get to find these kind of these kind of numbers that might be out there. Because a lot of times, and Jim, you said it, when you're just doing webinars and stuff, you'd be surprised what you find out there.
Oh yeah. You know what? And and it costs a lot today to run a business. I had them at a nice deli, had a very good breakfast. I had 12 or I think I had 13 people there. Cost me out of pocket a total, including my own breakfast, less than $700. And I got a $5.3 million account, another guy with 500, a couple of other accounts that I'm still working. when I became a stockbroker at Payne Weber in 1982, my branch manager, he said, Jim, I want you to remember this. You can sell some of the people you talk to and none of the people you don't talk to. And I took that to heart. And so I tell my story anytime I get a chance to tell it. And so you should have like an elevator, hey, by the way, everybody our age has 401ks or IRAs. Do you have anything like that? And even my wife will say, yeah, I'm a teacher. I got a 403B. I've got a great program for you. I just told it to somebody else this morning. Oh, I'm selling a piece of property and the title insurance rep come over and I asked him about this. And he said, can you tell me about that? This perks everybody's interest. It's not fail safe. Some of them are not going to work. Some of them will. Some buy, some don't. Next, I just keep telling that story over and over and over.
What I've been mentioning to friends and family, or even, of course, clients, I mean, do you know if your retirement savings is tax-free or not? And it's a simple question, and we know what the answer is. Of course, it's going to be taxable, and we know that. But you know what? You'd be surprised for folks out there in the general public. They don't really know. They're like, I am not sure. And some may have a little bit of savviness and say, yeah, I have a Roth IRA. And I say, oh, okay. And then that's an open door conversation. And then we talk about, do you have IRAs? And then if they have IRAs, that's where we know they're not going to be tax free. Now, some employers are allowing to do Roth 401ks. That's kind of a new era of 401k contributions. So I mean, here and there, I run into that, but it's very far few between.
And find out for your clients, tell them to call the company, ask their H&R person, like I do these classes for HR people, and say it's in their summary plan document if they can do that or not. It's only about 20% of them let it, but if they're a company like that, they don't want to miss that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said, one of the great things about I've told Joe before we got on that, Heather's got a great group that she has with retired federal employees, right? A lot of our people have different groups, and if we can put together me and Joe are working on this, little commercial things where we can put these out on their groups. This will help them find, it's kind of like throwing bait or chum out in the water, right?
Yeah.
And then some people will grab onto that, and then they'll say, hey, we did that little commercial with you guys, and we got 5 people that want to talk. You see what I'm saying? That's little stuff like that help you learn how to scale, right? And sometimes it's just by, like you said, Jim, you hit it on the head. You just got to ask.
Yep, you got to ask. And I always remember this. In the Bible, it says that a laborer is worthy of his hire. Now, we do a real good job for people, and I never feel guilty about making a good life and supporting my family in a good fashion because I give value for the dollar. It's when we don't do that it's not a square deal. I want to be square with everybody, and what we're doing is, and I'm a fiduciary, and I'm legally required to be on the same side of the table as the client. If it doesn't meet the fiduciary rule for them, we don't do it.
Jim, we got a good question here from Bob, one of our good clients and one of our paid members. Bobby says, what concerns are there moving qualified money if not security licensed?
Well, yeah, that's a big question, and it is a big problem. There's a company out there called American Equity. We've used it for years. One of my other friends that is licensed with them, he said, Jim, I just moved some money from American Equity to another company. And he said, I had to sign all kinds of documents that I didn't give any securities information. And that is something, and I'm being honest with you, you got to be careful with that. I'm advising everybody, if you can, get your 65 at a minimum so you can work on all of these qualifieds. But for anybody we work with, I'm a fiduciary. Again, I'll repeat, I got a Series 6, a Series 7 registered rep, Series 8 branch manager, Series 24 general securities principal, commodities branch manager, registered options principal, and 65 fiduciary. So I don't have a problem with any of those things.
Well, and Jim, here's the great thing about partnering with us is if they don't, maybe they don't want to get a Series 65. And I've been doing this for 30 years. I just something I never wanted to do. But I partnered with the right people, and you can still take care of them, and
Oh,
everybody
yeah,
wins.
absolutely. I talk to the clients.
Yeah, yeah, and you want to make sure that again, I think Bob makes a good point. If you're not that individual, you don't lose the deal, right?
No,
I mean, you know what I
Right.
mean?
absolutely not.
Well, we could help an individual like Bob in the process of a liquidation if there's one needed. So for obvious reasons, that's part of why we're offering the services that we provide, and obviously the concepts that we implement. And they go together like hand in glove. So if your people on the call today, Bill, if they need a piggyback or they need to work with us on that level, we could help them with that.
Yeah, and we told them to put hashtag Roth if they got some things they want to go with. We're going to definitely bring you guys back. And Joe, we've been together for over 25 years, so this isn't all the people that I bring on these shows. I have some sort of relationship with them, so I know even with Tom Hegna coming on, we've got some people that we all know together, and we all in the same group. I know Jim, Tom, and we got a lot of good things that are coming in the future. But I'd love to have you guys come back. We put our shows out about 30 days ahead of time. So we'll bring you guys back either at the end of March or maybe the first part of April. And then by then, Joe, maybe we'll have a little commercial that people can download on the paid site and put on their group sites.
And
Definitely.
kind of a good idea is if we developed a good book, a good educational book, 100-pager that tells you all these things and how it works and how it does.
You mean like the Babe Ruth bucket? That's what we should do, Joe. We'll do the Babe Ruth bucket, myths and truths of Roth conversion or not to Roth convert. How about that,
Absolutely.
Jimmy?
I like that.
That'd be great.
Now
I've already
thinking.
got the brand, Jim. We'll get this out in about 30 days.
I like how you're thinking.
I think we could do it, Jim.
You're on top of it.
Hey,
Well, thanks for having us on, Bill.
Yep, thank you guys.
And I like doing this, so thank you, sir.
Jim, we'll have
Thank
you back, and Joe, we'll talk tomorrow. We're going to have Zach's going to close us out with our intro for next week. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
And Zach, thanks for all your help.
Thanks, Zach. Thank you for everyone being on the call.
All right.
Tonight, we will be discussing how to maximize your retirement.
Tom Hegna is a renowned retirement planning expert, best-selling author, and award-winning speaker who specializes in simplifying retirement solutions. His writing and advice have helped countless retirees enjoy a secure and happy retirement.
Everybody thinks that retirement's so complicated. Do you know the more I study retirement, the simpler and simpler and simpler it gets? In fact, let me make each of your retirements as simple as I can. The ultimate success of each of your retirements is going to depend on your answers to my next two questions. And I'm not going to ask you how big your 401k is. Do you have a big investment account or do you have a fancy house? No, because the success of your retirement is not about your assets.